Let me just give you folks again a little bit of background, and I'm going to read a little bit from Spandon's recent commentary, so you can sense where his view is. He wrote, "There's a big freak out over possible fiscal cliff deal, including the use of something called chain CPI to calculate increases in Social Security benefits. You'll see people, if you go to Huffington Post, Daily Kos, or other liberal blogs, you'll see people who never supported the president in the first place, but nonetheless claim to be his base, lamenting over what a backstabber he is." Okay, that's true. The president, as part of the fiscal cliff negotiation offers and counteroffers, has apparently opened the possibility of slightly adjusting the cost of living increases, the way cost of living increases are calculated for Social Security, by tying it to a chain CPI, which is basically a more accurate measure of inflation that accounts for the idea that consumers often replace an item with increasing prices with a less expensive substitute. Okay, so that makes sense. But what Spandon has argued, as he says that, and he says, let me start by just explaining something that I did almost a year and a half ago, and that is, he says there are no cuts being proposed to Social Security's basic benefits. He writes, Social Security benefits are currently calculated using a formula that takes into account your income, replaces a certain percentage of it, yada, yada, yada. And he points out that a chain CPI measure would also collect more taxes, but what it would do is it would simply peg your benefits more accurately to inflation. So, having said, Daniel, did I do a good job of explaining that?
I think, yeah, I think you did a great job of explaining his wrong perspective, and you know, he'll be on shortly. You know, David, I actually thought that this morning, full disclosure, I obviously am policy director of the organization Social Security Works, which is one of the premier organizations that is fighting this change, you know, that's my full disclosure. This morning, you were rather on Thursday, you were substitute hosting the Bill Press show, and I spoke to you then about why I think that this logic is nonsense, and the idea that it's more accurate. It's basically just become a cliche. If you want to be taken seriously in Washington, you understand the chain CPI isn't a benefit cut; it's just more accurate. And my thinking is just that. First of all, that's just not true, and I think that Spondon is now joining us, and so we're able to see him here.
Well, let's check this out. Spondon, are you able to hear us?
Yes, I am. I'm able to hear you guys.
We can hear you. So you were going out over our show. Welcome to Take Action News. So Spondon, I read part of your recent column about the chain CPI, and you point out this is not a benefit cut. Expand on that. I mean, when you hear Democrats say, well, wait a second, it will cause thousands of people to be pushed into poverty. What's your response?
Well, my response is math and English. First of all, it is not a cut. You cannot term something a cut if it's still going up, but just by a slightly smaller amount. So the chain CPI adjustment, which a lot of economists, if not most of them, agree is a more accurate measure of inflation, it simply says your Social Security benefits will still go up, and there is no change to the base benefit. In other words, what's called the primary insurance amount, and it'll go up by 0.3 of a percentage or percentage point smaller than it otherwise would have. So I don't see how that's a cut.
Daniel, may I your thoughts?
This is a matter of semantics, right? But I'll say it flat out: the dollar amount that you will be getting in constant 2012 dollars, right? Which is just the way we, just to make it easier, the way we think of dollars and the purchasing power in today's money, will be reduced relative to what you are currently scheduled to get.
That's not true either, right? This is also not true.
You are currently scheduled to get a certain amount. Okay, so for instance, a person retiring at age 65 in 2012 is scheduled to get $1,460. Yes, you're right. That amount goes up due to the cost of living adjustment. It goes up in nominal dollars. The cost of living adjustment isn't really a benefit increase. It's meant to preserve the purchasing power of that amount. But beyond getting into that, just for a second, whether or not you think the chain CPI is more accurate or not, it is reducing the amount of money that people will get, that people are projected and scheduled to get under current law. That makes it a benefit cut.
But that's not what you just said. Is not true then, right? You're saying that it is a cut compared to what you are projected to get under current law. Not true beginning 2033, because beginning 2033 under current law, you are projected to receive a 25% benefit cut, no matter who you are.
If you want to use,
because wait.
Payable benefits. If you want to use payable benefits as your baseline, that's your baseline.
Well,
you're saying
no. I'm using legal benefits, and the law says the Social Security benefits are not allowed to be paid from other parts of government except from the Social Security Trust Fund.
True.
And that the payable benefits therefore are the legal benefit basis. So, in fact, you're not even accurate in saying you are getting a cut compared to what is currently scheduled. You're not. Either way. Now,
well, look. If you want to use payable benefits and you want to assume that Congress is going to do nothing to close Social Security's shortfall, okay, which has never ever happened in history. In 1982. In 1982, they were dealing with an immediate fiscal crisis, an actual crisis, I would say, where they weren't going to be able to pay benefits in a matter of months. Now we have one 15, 20 years away, and everyone is claiming the sky is falling. There's so much political pressure to do something about it, and you're assuming that we have to use that as our baseline assumption that nothing will occur. That's the first. That's the first thing. Hold on. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if we assume that, then there's no problem. If we assume that Congress is not going to fulfill its obligation, then benefits are automatically going to get cut. Then anything we add on top of that automatic 23% benefit cut is a benefit increase by your logic.
Let's get Spanden's response to it.
No. Okay. So I'm glad you brought up 1982, because what did Congress do in 1982? Congress did something that, according to your organization's response to one of my emails, would be a benefit cut, which is to raise the retirement age. That's what Congress did.
Oh, no question. Okay. Congress did cut benefits then. I don't know what that has to do with whether...
Wait, hold on. So,
whether we think it's feasible.
No. Then by your definition, there's always going to be a benefit cut. We're just talking about what benefit cut we're willing to accept. By your logic.
No, because what was appropriate then may not be appropriate.
No. Can I finish? Can I finish responding to you now? And yes, I'm using something as a baseline, assuming Congress won't do anything, because you are advocating for Congress to do nothing. Right now, your basic advocacy is no, we can't let them do this, even if there's more things. Why can't we do something now and more things later?
Right. You're right about that. I actually think they should go even farther. I mean, I think people who, for example, stay at home to take care of elderly relatives or the sick, whatnot, or stay-at-home moms ought to get some Social Security. So in my view, we ought to expand the program. But are we talking about two different issues? Your concern is trying to figure out how we can install some fiscal discipline, stop spending as much money as we are. And there are folks like Daniel and others who are concerned not so much about that, but concerned about protecting the poor, trying to keep them out of poverty.
Right. I'm not by any means saying don't protect the poor. In fact, the news reports now are, and from what came out from the President's Fiscal Commission, is that there would be a baseline benefit, so that the baseline benefit would be above poverty, federal poverty level. So Social Security would, in fact, for the first time in history, fulfill its promise to have no seniors in poverty.
Right, but your priority is simply in terms of the government having more fiscal discipline and not spending as much money because it's not taking in as much money. This is what I want to do. I want to take a break.
No, I think...
Well, let's do this. Let's take a break because I want to leave time for the second segment. Take a break. We'll bring this back to the chain CPI, the original premise of this debate.
Okay.
A conversation with Spandan Chakrabarty, who is the founder of the peoplesview.net, and Daniel Marans, who's the policy director of Social Security Works. Take Action News continues after this.